What is up? What is up? Welcome to everyone who's going to watch this video. This is the fourth update for MLFX for October 2020. Not the fourth for the month, but fourth in total of these monthly updates. This is going to be quite a brief overview of the article. If you'd like to read in depth as to what was undertaken and completed in the month of October, please do check out this article. I'll put it in the links below. So we're going to go over some of the stuff in this article and then some extra stuff that's been completed, because I'm actually recording this video on the 17th of November. I was away from home for the first sort of quarter or a third of the month. So now I'm able to record this video, and there is some additional stuff, some additional content that I'd like to cover in this video, things that we've actually accomplished in November. So it's a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's going to be in next month's article as well. So jumping on in, I decided to do a lightning round this month and just blast off a couple of quick things that didn't really have any main component. They were just little changes and tweaks here and there. So the first thing was creating a Lisp server, which allows us to make modifications and changes to the server, to the algorithm, whatever, without having to reset it, right? We can do it live, which means that we don't have to delete the agents, we don't have to restart the server, and there's no downtime or anything like that, which is super cool. Cleaned the database and fixed a bunch of issues that were stopping us from being able to display the results quickly, right? It was taking longer and longer to load, and now we should be able to maintain around about, I'd say, let me go back there. We should be able to maintain a database of about 20,000 results without having to go to pagination, which is what we'd probably do eventually anyway, but it's a low priority. And since we've now made these tweaks, the database is loading much smoother. We've got 5,000 entries, and it's going, it barely takes any time to load, as you can see. We've got all of them loaded already. So that was a quick improvement that was very helpful. We also started using Jira software that's more of a management style decision, and to create sprints, right? So we have the 2-week, 4-week sprints where we know exactly what we're going to do. We switched to doing one change at a time that affects the algorithm's performance, because we wanted to give it 2 weeks to validate, right? The first week is to see whether or not it's changed at all. Second week is to validate. And then we make another additional change after that. If it's validated and it has shown improvement, or it's kept level, then we'd keep that improvement, and then we'd look for another one. If it regresses, right, and if it's not performing as well, then obviously we'd remove it and we'd revert back to what we were doing before. So it's just small changes and tweaks into how we're doing things like that it is increasing the performance, our output, and also our planning, because we're planning these 2-week sprints, everything that needs to be done within those 2 weeks, and we're trying not to add emphasis on trying at this point in time. I published a couple of articles, the first 2 articles in the trading psychology series. It'll probably be about 10 to 12 in total. Working on one at the moment, and I'll probably just pump out 1 or 2 per month. I don't think there's any point me doing any more, because Google likes consistency with articles. So plus this article and those 2 would mean we're doing about 3 a month, which I think is enough at this point in time, maybe 4 in the future. We added arrows to indicate which agent pool produced the signal. So you can see here you've got the down arrow, which indicates the bearish agent pool. Up arrow indicates the bullish, and sideways indicates the stagnated agent pool, as said here. We are having some issues, I'll just let you know right now with that, and there is a bug that is causing us to show the wrong arrow for the wrong agent pool. So at the moment, pretty useless, but we'll fix that hopefully this month, and it should be ready to go. Now, onto some of the meat and potatoes, the important stuff for the month. We updated the fuzzy system. I teased this last month in the article, so I figured I'd jump into it straight away without, teasing and holding off on you guys. I'm holding out. But what we did, or what Armory did, I should say, I had very little to do with this. It was all from the crazy mind that he has. He's using matrix representation to store the agent's fuzzy system as a matrix, like, it shows here a bunch of numbers and digits in the database, which increases the speed significantly. There's a bunch of stuff here. We are using interval arithmetic, which allows us to do this instead of fuzzy numbers per se. there is still, some defuzzification and fuzzification of the numbers and things going on. But it's super complicated. There's a little bit of an explanation here. What you really need to know is the performance of the system is increased by 100,000 to 200,000 times, in that range. There's still bottlenecks that we have to fix and amend to get it to where we're wanting it to be. But we did fix some of those sort of this month in November, and we got the performance from, it was taking around about 4 hours to do a full cycle, and we got it down to about 40 minutes, a little bit less than 40 minutes. So bearing in mind that out of all of that time, it takes on average, it takes a flat 5-minute period per pairing, because we are doing 100 seconds of optimization per agent pool. There's 3 different agent pools, so 300 seconds, 5 minutes per agent, or per pairing rather, times 9, you're looking at 45, right? So sorry, we got it down to 49 minutes in total. So only 4 minutes of that is actually the algorithm doing its thing and doing extra stuff, right? Because we have that time, those 45 minutes allocated regardless to just doing regular stuff. So if you look at it from that perspective, minus the 45 minutes from the 4 hours it was taking, we're taking 3 hours 15 minutes. So we've reduced it by 3 hours and 11 down to 4 minutes of the actual process that it's taking. So that's a massive improvement. There's still stuff we can do as well. There's still quite a bit we can do there. On the flip side, it's also increased the number of agents that we're able to test per cycle, per 100-second period. Previously, we were doing about 30 to 60. Now we're doing about 600 to 800 in that same time period. And as I said, there's room for improvement there as well. It covers a few different things we were able to do here. So previously, we were using 5 rules per agent. A rule is a pattern. It's searching for a pattern in the data set, and it's trying to see if that's a recurring theme and that can earn money by, setting a stop loss and a take profit within that pattern. And it's going through that process over and over. And it's now looking for, instead of just 5, it's looking for up to 100 different patterns within that data set, which is super exciting that we're able to increase it like that, and we're able to reduce the amount of time that it was taking as well. Bunch of different stuff here. So change the data sets we were using. Did some stuff here, implemented. Now the theme for this month, the theme for October for us, was trying to figure out how we can make the system better, but how we can validate that what we're doing is actually making the system better. So we went through some discussions and figured out that we need to have a log, obviously, and we need to have an agent's log as well. So those are the next 2 things that we created. The log, which is documenting the processes that happen, right? The operations that are happening, and it's a place where we can go, we can check, right? These are all the agents that are being evaluated. These are the trades that are being validated, right? It's checking, then it's going back in, it's trying to create a signal for Euro GBP, it's creating the testing data set, then it's evaluating all of the agents in that agent pool, and it's seeing basically what the result was. The testing data set is should be 50. I don't know why it's showing 200 there, because it's showing 50 data points here. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. I'll need to look into that. Then it's creating the training data set, creation data set, after it's created this prediction, which is this signal right here. And if we go back to the signals page, we should be able to see Euro GBP trade relatively. Was it Euro JP? Let me have a look. Euro GBP. I must have loaded this a while ago. When did I load this? Wow. Okay. Did it not create a signal? Predicted take profit. We're looking at 87. A buy. Okay. There's possibly something going on there. I don't know why it's not showing up. Usually Euro GBP can't even see a Euro GBP on here. We might have an issue here. Look at that. Finding bugs live. So Euro GBP, yeah, the last couple of trades we had 11 hours ago. So there's an issue there. And when we restarted the system last night with some changes, I did notice an abnormality. So there's obviously some form of a bug coming in there. Either that or it's deciding not to actually place that as a trade for some reason. Yeah, so it's not actually said that it's created the signal, which it usually would. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll figure that out. Anyway, the point is that this shows us exactly what's going on. So we're able to identify where the issues are. And by me seeing that there's not something that's posting the signal, which it usually has, I now know that that's where Armory needs to look in terms of fixing it. So it makes the process go a lot smoother, and it allows us to identify the areas where the bugs are happening so that we can narrow down our search, or Armory can narrow down a search, saving them time in the long run. The next thing that we worked on, as I said, was the agents log. I'm not going to cover off anything here. We've actually changed it since this, and it now looks a lot cleaner. So we can now see that you've got a table here with all this information about the agents. We're going to remove some of these. We're going to add a few different points as well. But this is the agents from the training data set, right? This is their results from the training data set, all the metrics, etc. We will duplicate this page for the testing data set as well, because that's more important going forward. At the moment, we're still figuring out how to create the best or how to select the best training and testing data sets, or rather training and creation data sets. And there's some issues there. So that's why we're focusing a lot of our time on this particular page. And that's why we implemented this plot thing here, which if I click on some of these, we can see the actual data sets that we use to create and train this agent. So these should be bullish data sets. And that is why we've got these plots here, is that it's not quite matching up. The pattern thingy that is selecting these data sets isn't doing exactly what it should do. So you can see these are both pretty bullish, right? Data sets for the agent on the AUD USD. I think that these are both pretty good bullish data sets. But there is some instances, especially when it comes to the stagnated data sets, where they're just not that great. So that's a pretty stagnated market. It's slightly bullish though. If you look in the movement, I guess it's only 20 pip or so. So yeah, that is definitely quite bullish. 200 pip. That is not so much of a bullish market as it is a stagnated market as it is a bullish and then a bearish market. So these are some of the issues we'd need to try and resolve. Has a similar movement, so they're both moving around about, from 68499, bearing in mind that 9 is the singular pip there, 4 is the tens, 8 is the hundreds, 6 is the thousandth, because we're on the AUD USD, and we're moving up to 70155. So a move of about 150, 200, more like, about 200. So there's some good movement there. I would not call a 200 pip move, although it's going from December 18th up to December 30th. We're talking about a little bit past December 30th to the 2nd of Jan. You're talking about 14 days or so there. 14 days to do 200 pips. But we can just see, looking at this, that it is continuously in an upwards movement. And then it peaks out and then it goes down. So it's issues like that we'll try and remedy, figuring out how we can create a system that can identify them a little bit better. And the solution that we're looking to move towards is actually a manual selection of the data sets in terms of the start and the end. Because really what we're trying to do at the moment is to create a machine that can do a job as well as a human. So in that instance, why not use a human, especially when it only needs to be done once, really. You look at the previous 10,000 hours or so of the AUD USD, and you just go through and you slice the data here. Yes, it might take you a full day or half a day to do it, but once it's done, it's done. Then you only need to update once a month or so with the new data coming in for that month. So we'll do that, and then we'll update the pattern thingy as to how it categorizes those data sets that are getting fed into it. So we slice them, feed them into the data set, feed them into the pattern thingy. It then organizes them and categorizes them a little bit better than it's doing right now. We have a system we're looking to implement. So we're hoping that will, as I said, remedy a lot of the issues there. Anyway, I digress. These are some of the changes we've gone into this month, so we're overlapping a little bit. Next, we've got a change that we implemented where we're going to use the most activated global agent. That's pretty self-explanatory. Previously, we were using the most activated agent within the agent pool that was deemed to be the correct one, right? We were using the pattern thingy to look at the current market, say it's a bullish market, bearish market, stagnated market, and then we were turning to that agent pool. As I showed over here, we've got the stagnated, bullish, bearish. So we would then turn to that one and we would take the most activated agent out of that agent pool. Now, instead, what we're doing is, you see we've got this bullish, bearish, and stagnated. It just looks at these 3 agent pools and it takes the most activated agent out of all of them, which is the much better way to do it. There is still room for improvement there as well. We could possibly do the top 5 most activated, or we could do an average of those, or we could do the top 2 have to agree, right? They can't be both saying, I want to buy, and then the second most activated, which is only slightly worse, is saying, I want to sell, right? Conflicting. So we could look at that and that could cancel it out, or we could say they must agree to take the trade. They must both be saying buy or both be saying sell. So there's lots of things like that we can look to implement, which will improve the results as we go. Talking through some of the results here, they are not great, right? But we are expecting that. But a lot of people get up in arms and they say, oh, you've been doing this for a while, or like, why are the results like this? And we have been working on solutions, right, for a while. But this particular solution has been in the works for a long time, a couple of months. We implemented it, and now we're going, as I said, through that process of a 2-week validation period where it's going to be slow. The results are going to be shit, but the improvements that we're looking to make will show, right? It's going to be small, but each change we make will make an improvement, or hopefully that's the idea. Anyway, so we started off here 26.92, right? 26.92, but we were looking at a very low average win risk reward. This meant that we were, in fact, losing 149%, and compounded it was -50. So very bad, very poor start there. That was through 7, sort of 8, 9, about 1,000 trades in total, a little bit under, right? And you can see that on average, the percentages weren't bad, right? 26.92 isn't too bad, but this was not a great average risk reward from what we were used to anyway. The result being we had a total revenue of 2,173 pips for that week. Now, really, looking at the pips is pointless, right? We're looking at the basic return, the compounded return. That's the only things we're interested in. So looking at this, although we had an okay percentage there, we had a horrendous return. The next one, the same, even worse, slightly better average win, and then a much worse winning percentage. Week 3 is when we actually made some of these changes to try and improve it, and we can see immediately that the return jumps right down in terms of lower number, better result. It's confusing to say like that, but it improved is what I should have just said. Across the board there, much better risk reward, far fewer trades. Well, I say far fewer, half the trades, and that's because we made some changes that slowed things down a bit. We hadn't made the improved, improvements to the algorithm that I just talked about previously. Sort of started to even out in terms of the return there, sitting at 24.77%. Next week was also 24.67%. Same changes. These were just to validate again. We had a few less trades that month as well. Similar result, a little bit worse in terms of the basic return because we had a drop in the return there. We had a couple weeks since then. I won't go into that in this video. What I'm going to do is once I've finished tallying up last week's results, which should be tomorrow or the next day, I'm just waiting for a movement in the market to finalize some of the trades. I'll do a beta release or a beta update video, which should be video number 17 or 18. And I'll go through the results that we've actually accomplished and managed to achieve this month, which, a little bit of a spoiler alert, pretty darn good. Pretty good, especially comparing to these 2 weeks here. So we made another change after week 4, and we are now just validating those changes. The thing is, we thought it was going to be a small change, right? We thought it was just a small change, small result, but it has exceeded our expectations significantly. And the exciting thing is that this is just one change of many that we have planned, right? We've got at least sort of 6 to 10 in the pipelines that all should have, in my mind, at least half of those should have a much more dramatic result or outcome in terms of improving the system. So the fact that this one has got us to that point that we were almost looking to get to, yes, we've only validated 1 week out of it. Yes, we need to do another week. It could have just been a good week. But things are looking very, very promising, shall I say. Went into some numbers here. Break even for us using the above figures is about 28% to 33% accuracy. So not that far from there, right? We're only talking sort of 4 to 7% in those ranges, sort of maybe about 8% as well if we want to push it a little bit more. But we're looking to, as I said, we're looking to go a bit beyond that, and we think the changes that we will implement will take us beyond that. So 30 to 35% accuracy using the above mentioned risk rewards, so 1 to 2.1 to 1 to 2.7 in that range. 30 to 35% accuracy will be pretty darn good for us, right? Out of 100 trades, we should expect at least 10% return, which I think is quite good. Now, it's not great, but that is the starting point for us, and that is a point where we should be comfortable enough to go live with the system. Made a couple of bug fixes, won't go into that, and we're working on a whole bunch of stuff, but I won't go into that. The most important things we're probably trying to accomplish this week, or this month rather, is implementing a system that will allow us to manually select the data sets, as I said, to slice them. Armour is working on that at the moment. A couple of improvements into the things that we're tracking so that we can bug fix and we know what's working and what's not working. One of them is tracking the activations of each agent. I don't know why we haven't been doing that already. It's really something we should have been doing since the get-go, but now we're going to implement it, and now that I kind of know what everything else does, I guess I have got a bit more brain power that I can free up for this activation. So that will be interesting, just to see if there's a trend in the winning trades, whether or not they are always the highly activated agents, right? The agents that say, they put their hand up and say, I know what's going on here in this market. I'm confident it's a good time to buy, or confident it's a good time to sell. In essence, that is what activation is. It's how many of the rules do that agent has are activated at this point in time, and to what degree. So that'll be really cool to see that coming in. Also, some other stuff I'm excited to see is having another agents page for the training testing data set, and working on a couple of other things behind the scenes. I'll probably finish up some articles and things like that. So that's us done for this month. We are going to have next month's article and video coming out probably in the next 15 days or so. I'm going to pump that out right at the beginning of the month, and I'll also do the video as well, so I'm sort of ahead of the game there. But yeah, that will be a very exciting article. We'll cover some of the stuff I've talked about and some other things as well that I didn't have time to. But I look forward to seeing you in that video. If you enjoyed this one, please do consider subscribing to follow along with the journey as we go towards our release date. Bearing in mind that first come, first serve, right? We only are going to have 100 customers to begin with, and then we might open it up to 1,000 at a later date. But those initial 100 are going to get in early, and they're going to get an opportunity to use this system, which I think is going to be something really, really special. So it's not something you're going to watch out, you're going to want to miss out on. So as I said, please do subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in next month's video.